Welcome to the Chad and Chong podcast, where we have conversations about performance, production, and everything in between. I'm Chad.
And I'm Chong.
And welcome to today's episode, where we're going to be talking about vacation and time off.
Yes, sir. As you can see, I'm wearing my Disney World jacket.
Oh, that's cool.
Or would you call this a jacket?
Yeah.
Actually? Yeah, jacket.
It's like a bomber jacket.
Yeah, bomber. There we go. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And you got your
Kind of Hawaiian shirt that I got from H&M in, I think, Tyler Mall in Riverside.
not bad.
So,
Yeah.
because I came from Hawaii actually 2 days ago, and you were in,
Orlando. We were at Disney World.
when did you get back?
We got back last Saturday, actually.
Okay.
Last Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah, so tell us about that. How long were you in Orlando for?
So we were in Orlando for about a week. Sam and I, my girlfriend, we took a red-eye flight from LA, which actually they delayed our flight by 3 hours. And here's a crazy story. I don't think I shared this with you. So my plan initially was always to take a red-eye flight from LA to Orlando. So I thought I had booked the flight Sunday going into Monday. We were supposed to leave at 11:30, land in Orlando by 7:30, and then come back Friday sometime in the evening. When I was getting ready to check in, I noticed it was saying, you still have another 24 hours to check in. And I'm like, what's going on here? So I looked into the app, Delta. We flew Delta. I looked into Delta, and I had booked the flight from Monday night going into Tuesday. And so I was like, oh my gosh. Immediately I'm like, Sam's going to kill me. And I'm like, oh shoot, what do I do? So I had to call Delta right away, had to pay for a separate fare because they're like, we can't give you the same price because it's a Monday that you had originally booked. Now you're flying on a weekend day, whatever. So you're just going to pay the fare difference. So I was like, okay, whatever, let's just make it happen. So they were able to do it. We booked the flight and we're scheduled to leave Sunday night, 11:30, and they pushed our flight till 2:30 a.m. So we didn't get to Orlando till almost 9:30 in the morning. Just changed real quick and went straight to the park.
Wow.
Yeah, straight to the park. We did the 3-day pass, or 3 or 4 day pass or whatever, and we did all 4 parks. Normally when we've gone, we go to all 4 parks in one day, and it's killer. So this is the first time that we did it where we were, Sam and I and even Andrew and some of our friends from Orlando were able to come through. We did all 4 parks in 4 days, and it was amazing. Just like Cali weather, man. It was sunny, 70 degrees. The day we actually left, Friday, we didn't hit any park at all, but it was cloudy, it was raining, and it was really cold. So thankfully, the weather was amazing up until that point.
So this was Sam's first time in Disney World. So out of the 4 parks, which one did she enjoy the most?
She did say she loved Magic Kingdom. I kind of was giving her the example that, like, when you walk into the park, Magic Kingdom specifically, the castle looks really fake because compared to our castle here, it's so much bigger.
Yeah.
And so even this week, man, we went to Disneyland on Saturday, and my mind couldn't disconnect from Disney World Main Street because it's so much more space, and everything's bigger in Florida. So, it was just spaced out much more. The castle is twice as big. So it just was like I couldn't disconnect that that image from my head. But she told me Magic Kingdom was one of her favorites. Her least favorite was Epcot.
Oh no.
And this is why I had hyped up Epcot so much for her because the time that I went prior, it was Food and Wine Festival. So you could pick at little foods in every different country section or whatever. Every time we went to a new country, it was like you can only eat if you make reservations, and that's only if they're free on the app. So she didn't really get to enjoy any of the foods, barely anything. And so that was kind of her least favorite park, out of the 4. But she loved Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom. Those were her 2 favorites.
Did you go on the Ratatouille ride?
No, we didn't. No, we ended up doing. Actually, we ended up leaving Epcot earlier because she wasn't really enjoying it too much, and we ended up going back to Disney Hollywood Studios, and we went to this restaurant. Highly recommend it. Sci-fi diner or sci-fi restaurant. They put you in these like 1950, 1960 style cars, and you watch a old school film, and you eat dinner basically.
Is this in Epcot?
This is actually Hollywood Studios.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Hollywood. So we ended up going back there, because we couldn't make reservations the day prior, and this was actually Epcot Day was actually her birthday. It fell on the 12th, and so I didn't make reservations on purpose because I'm like, okay, she's gonna love Epcot. We're probably gonna be here all day till it closes at 9, and by the time 9 rolls around, no restaurant's gonna be open. So I didn't bother to make a reservation, and then by 6 o'clock she was already done with the park. So I was like, you know what, let's see if we can get a reservation at Hollywood Studios, and we were able to go to that restaurant and had a great time, and yeah, it was really cool, man, really cool.
So what are some of like your favorite moments or highlights? Obviously it's a special time that you got to go with your significant other at Disney World. Share maybe like a favorite ride or memory that happened.
This is one of my favorite rides in all the 4 parks. It's Avatar Pandora.
That's a good one.
There's an official name for it, Avatar something. I can't remember right now, but yeah, it's a great ride. If you've done Soaring in California Adventure, you just fly to this like simulation of like different parts of the world, and you're stationary for the most part. Avatar's like that, but like just so much more because you're consistently moving. My first time ever doing it, I actually got a little nauseous. I'm pretty prone to motion sickness relatively easily. So the first time was my experience. Second time I took some Dramamine with ginger, and I told Sam, you might need it, you might not, but she was fine, and we ended up doing it twice. So that was cool, and she told me, which I'm so blessed that that she did say this to me, because she was like, this is the first time someone's ever done something like this for my birthday. And I was like, wow, like, okay, but your parents have thrown you like parties, right? She was like, yeah, my parents, of course, but nothing like this where somebody took her outside of Cali and took her to, something like Disney World. So it was a great experience, and just being able to give her that as a gift was awesome, And then on top of that, we were able to have, a nice dinner with our friends, out in Orlando. Thank you to Andrew Sapin. We went to Kobe Hibachi. Hibachi style Japanese restaurant. Amazing. Food was bomb. It was like maybe 10 to 12 of us. It was good sized group. So, that, and just creating memories, man, that's the most important thing for me. Is just like, again, we always talk about quality time with our families. As much as we love doing music, we love our families. And this is why we're doing it, just to create memories and being able to refer to like, oh man, remember when we went, we took some time off and actually spent some time with our family, our friends, people that we care about. So it was awesome to be able to do that for Sam, and we both had a great time. Yeah.
That's awesome. So let me ask you this question. You just came off fresh from playing at Disneyland's California Adventure, their Festival of Holidays there on the World of Color stage, right in front of the Mickey's Fun Wheel, in front of the fountains where they do World of Color.
Yeah.
And maybe you're the same way as me, but sometimes as musicians, we can't really turn off our brains and really just fully immerse ourselves in, time off or vacation. And not that it's a bad thing, but as you were enjoying the parks and maybe, looking at Magic Kingdom, or were you like comparing like, oh man, do they have this kind of stage there? Were there any live performers where you were like, like, I wonder what these guys go through? Is it the same experience as me? Like, I wonder what it's like to play here. Did you have any of those moments where you were like, I'm a musician, and you were just kind of looking at a ride or something and were like, I wonder what it's like to play here since I just played at Disneyland?
Right.
And
my answer is actually no. Which is surprising even to answer that way. But I was really when I'm on vacation, I'm on vacation. I really don't like to think about anything to do with work or playing. If I come across, which we didn't actually, some live performances, I'll always like stick around and watch, or hear whatever style of music they're playing. But I won't really go into like, oh man, I wish I was playing here too. It's not really that kind of mentality that I have when I'm on vacation. Like I said, anywhere that I go, it's just like I just want to enjoy wherever I'm at. I have learned with even being with Sam that she always has this saying. She says you gotta disconnect to connect. Which essentially means like, I have a tendency to be on my phone, and it's not even that I'm scrolling on Instagram. Sometimes I'm replying to emails, texting people back. There's a possible gig for this. And so it's like, I really have to be intentional of making sure I put that away for the time being and focus on her and focus on the time of us, just embracing this moment, because these are moments that you get to share that sometimes you won't be able to get it back. By God's grace, we live and we get to see another day, but I never want to take those instances for granted. Since we're only there for the week, we wanted to see as much as we could from each park, and thankfully we did. We got to see basically ride all the rides we wanted to in each park. It wasn't crowded, which is great because Disney World, still as big as it is, it still can get busy. But yeah, we really enjoyed that. And then one of the days we ended up finding a Peruvian restaurant, which is always,
in the park or
no,
in the area?
in the area. In there, this is like late in the evening. We were on our Uber drive to our where we were staying. We had asked a driver because he was from Venezuela. He's like, "Oh, there's so much good food here in Orlando. You guys should try this, try that." And so I happened to ask him, "Hey man, do you know any like well-known Peruvian restaurants you'd recommend?" And he's like, "Well, there's actually this restaurant you can DoorDash or Uber Eats and they'll bring it to you, or you can just drive there. It's like 10 minutes." And so sure enough, we went there and, it was relatively good. It wasn't the best we've had, but we just wanted to satisfy the craving. She probably desires Peruvian food as much as I do, and she's not even Peruvian herself. She's Mexican American, but it's pretty awesome that she likes my culture, and the food that we eat. So, yeah.
Well, that's awesome that you're able to really kind of disconnect and enjoy some time off. Talk about the importance of, taking intentional time off and not always being on the clock because, as musicians, we don't clock in 9 to 5. We're always thinking of the next thing. You're always on your phone trying to find the next gig. Did you have any self-realizations during this trip?
Just going back to my point of being able to really disconnect to connect, when you're around family, when you're around friends, I've really have had to rewire essentially the way my brain works, where I feel like I consistently need to be doing something in order to, feel like I'm fulfilling something for the day or checking something off the list. When in reality, sometimes all you need to do to check that thing off the list is spend time with your loved ones. You know what I mean? Those are the most important. That's the most important things. And the question we should be asking ourselves is, okay, what are we building our future, our talents, like what are we doing it all for? We love playing music, and so any instance or any chance that we get to do that and obviously get compensated for it, it's just a plus. But if we took away the rates, if we took away the pay, all the extra stuff, would I still play drums? That's the question, right? Of course I would. I love drumming. I love music. I love learning about different styles of music and learning from different legends in music and producers, artists, arrangers. Like, oh, why did they arrange the song this way? Why did the drummer choose to use this fill in this section of the song and not do it earlier? Things like that, the curiosity of a creative, because we consider ourselves to be creatives in that way where we're consistently trying to, how can we enhance our craft? Well, how can we get better? And so I think it's like there's a time and a place for that. And funny enough, the Bible says that as well. There's a time and a place for all these things, but it also says to think on the things that are good, think about love, grace, favor. I'm probably misquoting, but those are the things that I would assume that's what, the Lord would want us to focus on, things that are good and healthy for not just for physically, taking care of ourselves, but mentally. Like, what are we doing to make sure that we are just caring for ourselves, whether that's reaching out to friends, family, I just try to be more intentional these days. But enough about me, man. What about you? You just got back from Oahu, Hawaii. So a lot of people call it Honolulu. What do you call it?
I call it Hawaii.
Well, is that the actual way you pronounce Hawaii?
No, I think it's Hawaii.
There's an apostrophe, right?
They pronounce the W's as V's.
Right.
So it was good to be back. Funny story is, all my life I've always wanted to go to Hawaii, and my senior year I finally got to go on a choir trip. And every year since then, I've been able to go back literally every year. And I think I mentioned it before. Most of the times it was on another person's dime. And usually a lot of the times it was because we would go with one of the artists I play with, AJ Raphael. We would always be performing a show in Hawaii. So, we'd mix business and pleasure. And so, we'd do a show and we'd hang out there, and it's always a great time. But this year was even more special because I actually got to go with my parents. And it's the first time we got to go there together. My parents have been to Hawaii a couple times with my siblings, and but not with me. So, we stayed in Waikiki. And Michelle, who is my girlfriend, is from Hawaii, born and raised in Hawaii. So I learned a lot about the culture of Hawaii through her. And so, she came with us as well, but, she was with her family, but we'd meet up every now and then. So yeah, it was a really good time. I spent about, 5 days there. So about a week as well. But, yeah.
What did you eat?
So it's kind of funny because every time in Hawaii, I first of all got to check off the boxes of, me and Michelle have this thing, and we're always like first stop Zippies, and so literally right as soon as the plane lands, we hit up the nearest Zippies, and you know. I'd get a variety of things, Obviously, they're really well known for the chili, and I love their cornbread. Orange Bang is delicious, but there's so many things in Zippy. So we hit up Zippies. Obviously, I always had to get the poke, and I've tried so much poke around the island. And if you don't know, poke is basically raw fish. It's like a sushi in a way, or sashimi. But it's tuna. And they mix it with a couple different ingredients, and they have different flavors, and you can eat it by itself or over rice. And I think Foodland has one of the most consistent and delicious, and for the price, it's really delicious. So I had that, and so usually I'd have these check boxes and malasadas, and but this time I hit a couple of them. But one of the cool things that I love about traveling is just eating like a local or hang out like a local. And I mean like local. Like where did you go to eat, your school lunch and things like that. And my parents are the same way. So we actually got to try a lot of like the local spots that Michelle grew up eating. So we went to her town, which is Waipahu. So, we went to like Leeward Drive-In. We went to Nanding's Bakery, which is like, I'm getting super local right now. We hit a Pacific supermarket, and, my parents are both from the Philippines. They immigrated over here. And so there's a lot of the tropical climate kind of thing that's similar. And so my parents love fruits. So we'd go looking for all like the tropical fruits like papaya and guavas and like things like that you can't get naturally here. So most of the trip, me and Michelle were basically kind of entertaining our parents, and so we tried a lot of the more local cuisine and cuisine that they wanted to try. So I didn't really hit all of the touristy must try things, but I hit a good portion of them.
The last time I was there, sometime last year, I remember we were trying to find all the amazing, Hawaiian food spots, right, to try out. I think I might have texted you for a couple, but I remember that one of the things that the locals told us is that on Yelp, they rate any really good spot poorly. Why is that?
I think this goes in general for Hawaiians, and it's both like it's like a sad and a good thing, Obviously, Hawaii's economy depends on tourism. However, tourism has also, I don't want to say damaged, but definitely impacted the local Hawaiian lifestyle. So, a famous example of this is Lanikai Beach, which is used to be a super low key. And you've been there, right?
Amazing sunset and sunrise.
Yeah. The beach is literally the backyard of homes. And so there's no like direct public access, like maybe here in California, you have a big parking lot that's paved and all that. No, like there's none of that. There's like small little, alleyways and then all of a sudden here's a beautiful white sand beach, But because of, tourism, social media, all these kinds of things, it kind of ruined the local kind of lifestyle of Hawaii. So, when it comes to certain foods, it's like we want to support local businesses. We want to do all those kinds of things, but we also don't want it to be so saturated by tourists that profits push or profits become the priority instead of, sharing the aloha spirit, which is, just love and all those kinds of good things. So, that's one of the things. Yeah, you don't really trust Yelp reviews over there. You really trust the locals and what they say.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. You already mentioned that you've played there a bunch of times with AJ, so did that kind of remind you of when you used to go out there and play with him and you wish you could do it again or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely, man. Hawaii, especially this trip, me and Michelle were just talking, man. It was really nostalgic. And so this is my first time back in like 3 years because of the pandemic. So like I mentioned before, I went every year except for the last 3 years. And to be honest, a lot has changed. Sadly, a lot of places have closed down. A lot of local spots, aren't there anymore. Also, like it feels like a lot of locals have actually left. Which, talking to locals, I've heard that a lot of them have moved to Texas and Vegas, especially during the pandemic, because again, like when tourism was down, they didn't have jobs. And because, they basically have been priced out of their own home, which is really sad. They had to move. But yeah, it was very nostalgic. I passed by a lot of the places that we used to play, venues that are not even there anymore. And then there was, a couple nights where me and my mom would just walk, the strip on Waikiki. And if you guys know the street right behind Kalakaua, which is Kuhio, there's a lot of restaurants there. And every night you could hear a performer. And usually it's just a single performer, right? But, they'd have a looper pedal with them, or they'd literally have a cajon sitting on a cajon. We talked about cajon, and they'll just play it with a kick pedal and have a guitar. And they're like a one-man band. And I just remember like walking down it, and they're really great musicians. I mean, obviously Bruno Mars was discovered on the street there.
Right.
And, it just made me kind of just think back. And again, I tried to disconnect as much as I could, but I was obviously thinking, I'm like, man, like, I'm very grateful that I grew up just an hour east of LA, and that, just by proximity, I'm able to meet musicians that I look up to and be in circles that not a lot of people, are blessed to be around. But here's like so much talent just on this one strip, that, won't get the same opportunities as maybe we do. And yet they have the same amount of talent, if not more, and all that. So it made me kind of think, a little bit of that way. And, also made me appreciate that, yeah, like what we do, it's really a privilege, and again, the fact that we get, compensated to do what we do, it's really a blessing. And, just being surrounded and hearing live music and seeing live music, in the barest form, one person doing it all, made me appreciate that about Waikiki.
Totally off topic, but your story of Waikiki reminded me of my brother, Louis. When we went to Hawaii last year, it was we stayed in Waikiki, but we never actually explored much of it. We were going everywhere else that we could. One of the days we decided to go into the Waikiki beach, I think is what they call it, right? There's a spot where like the rocks kind of separate, and there's a gap, right, where the water is kind of going in and out.
The seawall,
exactly. My brother saw this young girl kind of doing where she was like swimming, and then the water would pull her back and then throw her back in, whatever. So he's like, "Oh, let me try that. Like I should. If she's able to do it and she looks a lot younger than me, I should be able to do it too, So he tried it. In the first instance, he ended up stepping on a sea urchin.
Oh no!
Oh man. So we took him out. He was in pain. And so we looked at it, and it was like maybe 20, 25 spikes on his heel.
Man.
And so we were like, okay, do we pee on it? The myth is apparently you have to pee on it, but I guess that's an urban legend. It doesn't actually do anything.
Yeah.
So anyway, we Ubered to the nearest Kaiser, because that's what he had for medical. And the one we went to was closed. So we had to Uber to another Oahu hospital, whatever. We get there, and we had to take him to ... urgent care.
That's a joke. That's a Kevin Chong joke for you.
Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this segment of comedy.
That is free 99 for you guys.
Anyway, he came out with a cane, bro. He came out with the cane, walking out with the cane for the next... It was like the last 2 days of our trip. But yeah, anyway, man, I just wanted to mention that story because it's always funny. I have a drone video of him holding a Starbucks cup and then one with his cane and a bag or something like that, and trying to walk up this cliff. Oh man, it's hilarious. But anyway, sorry, Chad. I just wanted to input my...
Your input.
My input, yeah.
Your input, yeah. That's good.
But no, that's great, man. I mean, Hawaii, we always talk about it, man. We got to make Hawaii happen together. We might even, in the future, we'll get into this, but we want to do episodes outside of this studio, and hopefully more content that as the months approach and things like that. We definitely want to get that going. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. Again, stay tuned for so much content coming out. We really have a lot of plans, and trust us, we're really diligently working on getting more content out. We want to have that song for you guys for season 2.
It's coming.
But yeah, the artwork, all that stuff is coming. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Drop a comment if you enjoy what you've watched so far. We are 10 episodes in. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google, whatever platform you listen on, make sure you just follow our page as well. If you can leave a 5-star rating, that would definitely help us to go higher up in the rankings. We'll see you guys next week.